Hey, Barbara. How are you?
Hi, Bob.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Good to see you, Nika.
Thank you. Good to see all of you. Are we on time for today?
Yeah. Hello, Anika. Nice to see you
Hello,
here.
Ali.
And thank you for accepting our invitation. Okay, I think 1 more minute I will start the session. Do you have a PowerPoint presentation or just talking?
No PowerPoint.
Okay, great. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Ali Zarzadeh from Road Safety Pioneers, and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and based on whenever you are joining us, thank you very much for showing your interest to join this session. I think it would be a very important session. At least it's a very important topic for me, and some of you emailed me that also you liked the topic, and you're hopeful to have some takeaways from this session. We will have 2 webinars this Thursday, and that we are running it, and also the next Thursday that will start 2 hours earlier, comparing to today. So we will have 2 sessions on the session today. We will have just after the introduction, we will have the opening remarks by Nika Enright, the head of UNRSF, and then Alina Burlako from the World Bank GRSF will talk about the mainstreaming road safety and road infrastructure investment. Then Hafez Alawi from Australia, HA Consulting, we talk about the historic rollout of bicycle infrastructure in the Philippines. Then we will have Sana Hassauna, the junior project manager of Yours for Road Safety, and the Youth Coalition for Road Safety, Global Youth Coalition, talking about the meaningful youth participation in road safety. And then we will have around 25 minutes of Q&As. You may ask your questions on the chat box, and I will ask the panelists to answer your questions. And just talking about what will happen the next week, we will have 3 other presenters. Professor Fred Wegman from TU Delft, Netherlands, will talk about putting a road safety plan into effect. And then Dan Kempsel from Agilysys UK, we talk about creating an enabling culture. And we will have again Patrick from Global Alliance for Road Safety NGOs, talking about the role of NGOs in the implementation of national road safety strategies. I'm just talking about why we thought that this is an important topic, because we know that during the last decade, we learned that how many countries started writing and having strategic plans and other plans, implementing some activities, but the analysis of achievement of the decade showed that we are far behind expected targets, and unfortunately, we were not very successful, especially in low-income countries and also middle-income countries. So maybe we need more things, and we need to know more about what's happening and how activities should be done. What are the challenges that are barrier and obstacles to achieve the success? Okay, now with this introduction, I will ask Nick Henry from the UN Road Safety Fund to talk about what's happening at the UN, and for example, having a funded project or having money is enough to achieve the success, or we need other items more than just money, and we need other factors. Dear Nika, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I'm very proud to have you here, and please start your opening remarks, and the floor is yours.
Good day to all. Thank you so much, Ali, for your invitation to this event to speak at the Road Safety Pioneers webinar in the lead up to the UN. Sorry, you can't hear me? Oh, that was so, okay. Maybe we can mute it
Yeah.
so that we don't have any.
Yeah, that's okay.
Any disturbance.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So the title of the webinar, Moving from Paper Plans to Action, couldn't be more timely against the backdrop of the global plan for the second decade of action for road safety, which for all intents and purposes,
No need to say what it is.
Yeah, we didn't see that. What kind of amenity? Just we.
I guess you can hear me now. I saw that the host muted me. I hope it wasn't because of my bad start. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, please.
Okay, perfect. Right, I was saying that the global plan is effectively the paper plan that we should all be guided by as we look at our various partnerships and projects to improve road safety across the world. And of course, I think many of you, probably a lot more than myself, you're aware of the technical challenges. But I think in addition to these kind of, I would call it everyday challenges on our endeavor, I think that there are 3 main building blocks related to how we could be moving a little bit differently in this second decade of action in order to secure more effective road safety support to developing countries. And of course, developing countries is undoubtedly the group of countries where our focus needs to be if we are serious about halving road traffic deaths and injuries by 2030. I don't think I need to spend too much time talking about that aspect. So onto these 3 main building blocks related to how we could be doing things differently. The first one I see is really about making the issue of road safety present. Secondly, it's about making it personal. And thirdly, it's about making it possible. So present, personal, and possible. How do we go about doing that? I think that ensuring successful implementation of the global plan calls for a more conscious effort in this second decade to nestle road safety in today's current context of the ongoing global COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the worsening climate crisis. The global plan itself, it does already outline that road safety should not be approached as a standalone issue, but it needs to be integrated, an integrated component of many different policy agendas, including child health, climate action, gender, and equity. And as highlighted by the COVID-19 pandemic, the need for mobility itself will undoubtedly evolve and change in this decade. And this will inevitably drive changes to transport systems in ways that we can expect, and some ways we cannot even foresee. And from where I sit, I think the good news is that there are already road safety projects and initiatives and advocacy efforts that are already underway, which clearly demonstrate how road safety is a present day issue to policymakers and to everyday road users. Road safety actors, including the UN Road Safety Collaboration Street for Life campaign, the UN Road Safety Fund's own SDG platforms for engagement, and the Global Alliance for NGOs Global Plan handovers, are some examples of how road safety actors are already heeding this advice of making road safety a present day issue. And they're showcasing how improving road safety, through reduced speed, through increased walking and cycling lanes, through safer school zones, how these things can actually also yield tangible benefits that respond to aspects of our current climate and health shocks. So moving from talking about making road safety a present day issue, how can we make it a personal issue? As we have seen from the COVID-19 pandemic, nothing motivates action like the threat of an issue on our own personal lives and our own livelihoods. And I think it's important for us to look at the road safety challenge in this perspective, making the road safety challenge personal. And that is about ensuring that our use and transfer of expertise, which we have in abundance, knowledge, which we have in abundance, and financial resources, using these things to work for each and every one of us, whether we're cyclists, tourists, pedestrians, motor vehicle drivers, or whichever hat we happen to wear. And for that to happen, serious efforts must be enhanced to ensure that domestic policies and road safety priorities align with the needs and risks facing road users in their respective localities. And I'm glad to see the different speakers, representing different profiles, different vulnerable groups, from youth and children, pedestrians, cyclists, and also disabled persons. The solutions devised to support governments, therefore, must be done jointly and focus on meeting the realities and expectations of road users in their given community or city or country, and making that connection between road users and policymakers for road safety projects and initiatives will be crucial. And of course, I'm aware that this is something that many NGOs are already doing, and this is something which the fund is also itself incentivizing through our ongoing and future call for proposals. But in addition to making that emphasis to make it personal, I think doing it is great, and also communicating about it is even more helpful. So just as it is important to involve and personalize road safety among communities and road users, we also need to invest in telling the human interest stories emerging from those engagements. And we need to do a better job, I think, of showcasing the road user level results from road safety initiatives that are working well. And finally, moving from paper plans to effective actions relies on it being possible to do so through partnerships. And this is a big word for us at the fund, this issue of partnerships. The fund, the UN Road Safety Fund, we pool world resources to invest strategically in projects that improve road safety systems, specifically in low and middle income countries. And our partnership is one of governments, UN agencies, technical bodies, private sector, Global Alliance for NGOs for Road Safety, and also everyday road users who are committed to ending the global road safety crisis. And we can see from the current body of knowledge that exists, especially coming from the World Bank and IRAP and others, that we already can see what are the technical challenges. We can also have a sense of what are the related financing responses that are required. So financing, of course, is absolutely essential. Evidence-based responses, absolutely essential. There's no question about that. However, partnerships is not just about financing. Even though we have the word fund in our name, our focus is not just only about financing. And here, I think it's important for all of us to take a step back. I mean, I know we know the numbers, but just to take a step back to appreciate that we are dealing with a truly devastating global development challenge. Within 24 seconds, we lose a life to a road crash. And it means that at the end of every year, there is over 1.35 million people, which is the population size of an entire country. Entire countries like Barbados and Estonia and Mauritius, who are perishing because of unsafe road conditions. So if nothing else, this global development challenge that we're working on together, it merits a genuine appetite for and a genuine commitment, a genuine undertaking to leave our silos and to work together to ensure support is properly channeled to the developing countries that need it most. So not being too biased, the Funds Global Partnership, in my view, is valuable for this reason, because with a focus on low and middle income countries and with a focus on 5 key areas of road safety support, we are working together to address the global road safety challenge with many of you who are on this call. One example I'll give, which is one that we highlighted in our recently launched annual report, is the partnership in West Africa, where with 15 West African ECOWAS member states, the UN Environment Programme, the UN Economic Commission for Europe, the UN Economic Commission for Africa, alongside complementary expertise and financing from the fund, from FEAR Foundation, from the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, from Sweden, and from CETA, the International Motor Vehicle Inspection Committee, we're able to provide targeted support and to channel that to both exporting and importing countries that will ultimately help to improve the situation of used cars, used vehicles that are being imported into Africa, ensuring that they adhere to consistent minimum standards to facilitate also a shift to cleaner and safer used vehicles on the continent. And through this project, we really can yield some significant life-saving and environmentally beneficial results for the affected 400 million road users in West Africa. There is more details about the project and how we're doing that in our annual report. So I won't run you through how we're doing that, but just to say that by the end of 2020, we were able to support the 15 ECOWAS member states to develop harmonized vehicle standard regulations for safer and cleaner used vehicles, and are currently working at the national level to help countries to align to these regionally agreed directives. Perhaps I'll conclude just to say that we do know a lot about the what, and I think for this second decade, we need to put a little bit more emphasis on the how. How are we addressing this issue of road safety if we really want to move from paper plans to effective actions? And here I would call for more partners to rally their resources and their financing together in ways that make road safety present, personal, and possible.
Oh.
Thank you. Thanks, Ali.
Thank you so much, Nika, for your really amazing comments, remarks, and really invaluable points. You mentioned that we need to go forward toward the second decade of action goals. As you mentioned, it's very important to have government commitments to achieve these goals. And I know that you will leave us very soon. Just before leaving, I want to ask that in 2 weeks, we will have the high-level meetings of General Assembly in New York. And what do you expect to have be the outputs of such a high-level meeting? What do you see would be the outputs of the, for example, commitments from the head of the states?
Thank you, Ali. Again, the thing that is the biggest for me is this issue of partnerships. And because there's a focus on having this meeting be in person, and I know that there are a lot of member states right now and also private sector actors who are really working on what is it that they can put forward on the table in terms of what their commitment can be, what their undertaking can be for the second decade. I think that's great, but we need to now move to that place where we're partnering and we're pooling the resources to get the even bigger impact. Because it's great to help a few hundred citizens, it's great to help one country, but if you really want to meet that target by 2030, the scale that we need to achieve can only be done through partnership. So how can we connect some of the dots while we're there in New York in person, pooling some of these commitments on undertaking, whether it's advocacy, whether it's operations, whether it's financing, how can we pool that to really get more effective action taking place in the second decade? So more and more partnerships is what I would see as a win for this high-level meeting.
Thank you so much. And just I want to hats off to the UNRCF for the invaluable activities you are doing. And you're not only funding the project in LMICs, but also you are empowering people and providing capacity building for the people that are working on those projects, and they make sure that they will reach your defined or your expected target. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a nice day. I thank you so much again. So after listening to Nika from UNRCF and her remarks for this webinar opening, I want to go to the second presenter, that would be Alina Borlako from the World Bank GRSF. I know her since 2015. She's a wonderful road safety expert now at World Bank GRSF with their colleagues. They're doing wonderful projects, helping road safety experts from all around the world to implement evidence-based approach project, and providing also guidelines, manuals to help road safety experts to be able to move forward the targets both locally and globally. So you can share your slides, Alina, and the floor is yours.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, very well. Go ahead.
Yes, you can hear me? Okay. Let me reduce also the camera so I can see my screen. Thank you so much, Ali. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Ali, it's always a pleasure to join you and to see you, and it's always a pleasure to be part of the road safety community. I've been working on road safety for more than 15 years now, and I'm really passionate about the topic. So I'm really fortunate to have the opportunity to work on to continue my work on road safety with the World Bank and at the Global Road Safety Facility. Especially after doing my PhD on road safety engineering and trying to link the engineering side of road infrastructure to safety back in my home country in Romania. So today I would like to, since the topic for today is to talk about the challenges, I wanted to discuss a bit about road infrastructure investments in general and how we can try to mainstream road safety within these investments. And I will not insist too much on the introduction. Nika already mentioned a bit about the impact about the road safety, the continuing global crisis that we are facing, and how road traffic fatalities are the leading cause for children and young adults, affecting especially vulnerable road users. But also very importantly, and what I need to highlight here is the fact that 93% of traffic fatalities are happening in low and middle income countries. And actually, that's where also the World Bank is working, is providing their investment. So it's very much linked. That's where basically that's our focus. And of course, road safety comes really is a very, very important part of our work. One of the things that I also wanted to highlight, especially linking it also to what Neka was mentioning about the personal part, we also need to think about the trends of road traffic fatalities and serious injuries. And try to tell this story a bit, for everyone. We need to try to tell it a bit better, especially for policymakers and then those holding the funding. Because if you look a bit at the trends in terms of road safety and benchmarking with tuberculosis, HIV, malaria, we can actually see that more people die in road traffic crashes than from this type of disease. And also the fact that middle-income countries have the largest share of the global health burden. And the fact that the rise of road traffic deaths and serious injuries is projected to continue in low middle-income countries, unfortunately, with the fast-growing number of vehicle fleets. So this is something that it's really important, and it also shows somehow where the funding needs to also go to, because road injuries, they are extremely impactful in terms of life saving. So showing a bit these numbers reported to other type of public health problems can actually help us a bit better to raise the awareness around road safety. In terms of cost of road traffic fatalities and serious injuries, this is something that the World Bank has been working in the past years to see exactly what is the impact, since one of the goals for World Bank is to reduce poverty around the world. So we were able to estimate that the economies of low and middle income countries are actually paying $1.7 trillion and basically over 6.5% of GDP every year. And there is actually a missed opportunity for economic growth and ending poverty. So whenever we have this type of response that, from a country saying that we're actually too poor to invest in road safety, we don't have enough money, the way that we are trying to put this is that, maybe you are too poor not to invest in road safety, because actually road crashes are what keep countries in poverty. And unfortunately, health costs per casualty can reach up to 300% of current health expenditure per capita and 20% of per capita GDP. In terms of responsibility, I mentioned a bit earlier about one of the biggest challenges which comes with financing. So one of the things that we are trying to do within the World Bank, we're trying to mainstream road safety within all the transport projects that we are financing, and also going beyond transport project, but agriculture projects or health projects or urban projects that include rehabilitation or any of roads or any activities that might link to road safety. So what we are trying to do, whenever we are requested by a country to, for example, to rehabilitate, to upgrade the road, modernize the road, we are trying to move from this. We are actually moving from this approach where we are just doing resurfacing investments only, and we embed road safety investments whenever we upgrade the road to make sure that road safety is thoroughly considered from early stage. We have currently in ongoing 31 billion investments in transport projects. And all these projects that involve road projects, they are being screened early on during preparation with a road safety screening and road safety screening tool that is actually looking into the potential of life saved through that project. So this is something mandatory for all World Bank projects. And as mentioned, this is mainly from an infrastructure perspective, but of course we have those other complementary activities that are very important related to road safety, capacity building, management, and so on, that are also included to make sure that road safety is thoroughly considered in all our projects. And this way, basically supporting the goal of the second decade of action for road safety. In terms of the Global Road Safety Facility, we are partnering with the UN Road Safety Fund. So we're really glad to have heard Neka a bit earlier. The GRSF exists basically since 2006, and it's a global multi-donor fund hosted by the World Bank. And basically, we are trying to help governments develop road safety management capacity and scale up road safety delivery in low and middle income countries. We've been receiving a total of 75.4 million since our inception, and this was all expanded into 84 countries that you can actually see on the map. So we provide funding, knowledge, and technical assistance, which is designed to scale up the efforts of low and middle income countries to build their scientific, technological, managerial, and delivery capacities for road safety. You can also see our donors, the GRSF donors on the bottom of the screen. And we are also trying, so the GRSF is working, we provide grants. We are providing grants to some of those, I think, connected, but also, we are trying to make sure that the expertise within the GRSF team, we have a strong technical team of road safety experts, is also used to inform World Bank projects around the world. So in terms of role, I will not insist too much on this. Basically, around research and development, we have lots of research projects ongoing, capacity building, supporting leadership management. Safe roads and roadside infrastructure, which is a very important pillar for us. Safe speeds, also very important. We have actually just launched a speed management hub last year, where you can find lots of resources on speed, but also a list of frequently asked questions on speed. Also safe vehicles, partnering with CETA and focusing on safe users and emergency medical care and post-crash care. You can find more information on our website together with success stories and also impactful activities that we've success stories actually from the grants that we've been providing in the past years. In terms of some of the lessons, before going into some concrete examples, some of the lessons that the Global Road Safety Facilities has learned from the last decade. One of the things that we consider really, really important is the need to strengthen of country delivery capacity. And this should be an integral and priority component of any road safety investment project, either from the World Bank or coming from the government. So it's really important to make sure that we have that capacity in place, especially from our side. Whenever we are financing a project, we don't just bring an international expert just to do a road safety audit or to provide some specific activities, but we are focusing more on the mentoring part, on the hands-on training, on capacity building to make sure that we create sustainability. So we create this partnership between experts from high-income countries, from developed countries, with experts from lower-income countries, making sure that we have this knowledge exchange and building sustainability. Also, dedicated in-country engagement plan, we consider it's a pivotal role, and basically efforts to improve road safety performance in low and middle-income countries often start from a minimal institutional base with limited resources. Now, any of you can actually have access to World Bank project appraisal documents on our website. So if you see, especially, I've been working a lot in East Asia Pacific in the past 4 or 5 years since I joined the bank. But recently I started working, providing cross support for World Bank projects in West and Central Africa. So if you actually look, there are many projects, transport projects that have a strong component on road safety, which involves the development of or operationalization of a lead road safety agency, which we consider is really pivotal. It's really important because this way we create that body that is able to have all stakeholders at one table and help with delivering the much needed activities. And also global knowledge and expertise are vital to building country delivery capacity. And this is one example that we have right now, the event organized by Ali. I think it's really important to have this type of network. And what I think is also very important to try to expand this network. I've seen many familiar faces in the participants list. I think we need to start telling the road safety story beyond the usual people that we talk to, beyond our usual group, our usual family of road safety, and try to bring more people to this family, to expand our family of road safety family as much as possible, and bring more people to raise awareness more and more, because road safety is a developmental problem. It goes beyond just people killed on the road. It affects economies, it affects climate change, it affects gender, it has many other it's very much linked with other developmental agendas. So we need to make sure we also do the link and try to bring people with different expertise to be more aware about the importance of road safety and taking action. In terms of mainstreaming, I've been looking into a set of integrated and impactful activities that could be considered for mainstreaming road safety in any type of infrastructure project that can be financed either by a multilateral development bank or by the government also. So here are the list of those that are considered as best practices, and talking about road safety management and leadership. I was mentioning a bit earlier about operationalization of the lead agency. We know that engineering measures are also very important in terms of roadsides, creating safer roads and roadsides for all road users. It's very important. I mean, I can talk for hours about this topic. It's, as I mentioned, this is my PhD topic. So, but just trying to keep it brief, I think it's really important to make sure that the way a road is built sends the right message to all the road users in terms of the speed that should be used and how the road should actually be used. I think this is the most important part when we design and build a road. At the same time, also enforcement legislation and equipment, these are really important, and we need to have the right legislation in place. We know what works, we know the best practices, so we need to make sure that these best practices are further disseminated. Emergency medical services, again, really important, and these are activities, these are some components which are embedded in different World Bank projects. We know the importance of the golden hour, so it's really important to keep this post-crash care. Safe vehicles procurement or legislation. We know about the global NCAP and the need to have vehicles that have 5 stars, 3, 4 stars, and especially I'm glad to hear from NECA about the work that the UN Road Safety Fund has been doing in West Africa in terms of safer vehicles. Also data collection and management, and here it's really important to make sure that we have the right data. And I think the work that we've been supporting on regional road safety observatories is really important, and the development of we have OECD in Latin America, African Road Safety Observatory, and also the Asia Pacific Road Safety Observatory, and also some developed in Europe, the Western Balkans Road Safety Observatory recently launched also. So we can see in different countries that have been, they are partnering with each other and trying to learn from each other to improve their data collection and management. Speed management at the same time, and this is also, I think all these measures that they go hand in hand. You cannot say, oh, just do speed management or just safer roads. They have to come together with enforcement, together with management and leadership. For speed management, it's really important to look at all the sides, communication around speed policies, setting the right speed limits, and having the right infrastructure in place and the right enforcement. Also, road users' safety in terms of helmet use and seatbelts, which are really important. We know they save lives, so we need to see more of that happening. Together with capacity building and knowledge sharing, it's really important to make sure that the right message is being sent out there. And just very briefly, we have this very, not sure how many of you know about this publication, the Guide for Road Safety Interventions, evidence of what works and what does not work in road safety. And just to briefly present you the road safety superstars, as per existing research globally from all countries, these are the superstars considered that can bring at least 30% improvement through their implementation. And we have, just focusing on 4 of the main categories on roads and roadside speed, road users and vehicles. I would strongly encourage you to take a look at this. This guide is really important, especially when we don't have enough funding. It's always good to try to spend that funding on the most impactful activities, the one that we know will have the biggest improvements. And also about the fact that there are several tools out there. So we know that we have challenges. And I think it's really important to try to share these tools as much as possible, to share the information. I was telling you a bit earlier about data. We've released guidelines for earlier this year, actually just a couple of months ago, the guidelines for conducting road safety data reviews. So going beyond crash data, but actually putting road safety data together and supporting countries to have stakeholders involved in road safety data collection and management sit at the same table and work together to collaborate in order to have the best data and then be able to take proper and informed actions.
Please,
Also, road safety
please wrap up in
capacity
2-3 minutes, Alina. 2-3 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Arif. Thank you, Ali. Then these are the tools. I will try to go faster a bit to take you a bit through the case studies. I'll try to keep it just 1 minute for each case study. So I wanted to share a bit about the work in Cambodia on road safety data. And this is something that the GRSF has funded to do a road safety data review. And basically this grant that was done together with the International Traffic Forum, we were actually able to use the findings to inform a World Bank project on road connectivity and improvement project that is actually just financing the deployment of a crash database and the series of road safety assessments. At the same time, in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia, under a different project, which is focused, has a strong focus on road safety, particularly on pedestrian safety. We've recently published Addis Ababa Sidewalk Safety and Improvement Study, and also design and maintenance guidelines, which is talking about the solutions and how we can make this happen. And for Philippines, and I will not insist too much on the Philippines, perhaps just a very brief history. We've been working there in the past 10 years. And the reality is that, it's not easy. And countries, they need to learn and build their capacity. And we are doing our best to be there and support together with other international partners. So we have a long history in the Philippines, but I'll try to keep it brief. We started in 2011 under a World Bank project, trying to create this basis, building capacity and mentoring, working with IRAP for over 6,000 kilometers of roads that were assessed. We've worked very closely with the Department of Public Works and Highways, and we were able to help them implement some pilot corridors based on the IRAP findings and recommendations. And also further on in 2017, 2021, to be able to strengthen the lead unit. It's really important to have a champion in the country to make sure that interventions are really implemented, but not only during the project, but also after the World Bank project ends. That's one of our priorities. So we've been working very closely with the Bureau of Quality and Safety. We had a reimbursable advisory services that just ended last year, where we were able to do a very in-depth capacity assessment of the entire institution and how they work with the other stakeholders in road safety in the Philippines, and come back with some short-term recommendations that can be implemented from all perspectives of road safety. And I would like to end my presentation with this, on this positive note. So one of the things that we shared in the Philippines, especially with the Department of Public Works and Highways, because they have different bureaus of planning, maintenance, operation. The reality is that if we want to see road safety more in the roads, on the roads that we are using, it needs to be considered not just as a separate topic, as an add-on, but it has to be considered, and it is at the heart of planning, maintenance, operation, construction, and design. It should not be separate. It should be at the heart of all these processes in terms of road infrastructure investments. And I will end here, Ali. Thank you so much, and sorry for taking a bit longer with my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alina. Thank you again. And as expected, another insightful presentation with tangible examples from some World Bank projects. And okay, so we are a bit behind the schedule. I just go to the next presenter, Dr. Hafez Alavi, my friend, my knowledgeable friend from Melbourne, Australia, will talk about you on the project he has recently done as a World Bank consultant on cycling. Okay, let's start. Hafez, floor is yours.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Ali, and thank you, everyone. I noted that we have people here from Peru, from Kenya, from Iran, from the Philippines, from Portugal. So it's great to have you all here. So I'm from Melbourne. My background is road safety engineering and transport planning, and I have worked for the Australian government, Victorian government, and the World Bank on quite a few different things. I did my PhD on pedestrian safety, and tonight I want to talk about how we can do safety for active travel and cyclists. And I will use the example from the Philippines. But before doing that, I would like to do an experiment with you. So if you or a family member has ever been in a crash, I want you to type 1 in the chat room. So open the chat room and type 1 if you have been in a crash. So this is crazy. This is crazy. So I tell you my experience. Usually in these workshops, and even if between road safety and transport experts, I get somewhere between 50 to 60 people, 60% of people saying that they have been in a crash or their family member has been in a crash. So this is very close to home for all of us. This is not something that, we are standing aside. We are in the middle of the issue. Now, let me talk about a little bit about, the project. So this is about the background is the historic rollout of bicycle infrastructure in the Philippines, going from 0 kilometer of bike lanes to 500 kilometers. And I will be sharing what drove that massive historic rollout and what we learned. Not all the lessons are positive, but the whole process was absolutely positive and groundbreaking. Now, before doing that, I want to acknowledge GRSF, Australian government, the World Bank, and the Bloomberg philanthropies for their support, their sponsorship, and providing technical support and providing for my time and many other people's time to do the job. And also I want to acknowledge Ali and his colleagues here for providing this opportunity for us to get together. You're doing a great job, man. You're bringing us together. We share insights. I love your work. Thank you. Now, in 2020, when COVID hit, Manila came to a halt, came to a stop. Medical people, nurses, doctors had to work 5 to 6 hours to arrive at work 10 to 15 hours shift, work 5 hours back because they couldn't use public transport. The system was breaking down. So from 2020 to 2021, when we had around 500 kilometers of bike lanes, we went from crisis to something very fantastic. So first of all, kudos to the government of the Philippines. And I tell you what we learned from this 1-year process, which was amazing. Now, just a quick background before I give you the lessons that we learned. In 2020, the government of the Philippines said, we're going to invest around $26 million into sidewalks and protected bicycle lanes to support our response to COVID. World Bank jumped in, and as Alina mentioned, World Bank has this mission of providing technical support, build capacity, create safe, effective facilities for the locals. So that's what essentially we did, but we couldn't do that without the help of local government, non-governmental bodies, advocacy groups, civil society, and all the professionals that we work with. Okay, 10 lessons. Some we implemented, some we learn to implement in future. Let me start with the first one. Why active travel or why cycling matters. We understood that there are 5 areas that active travel help us with: economy, environment, health, social and transport and safety. Technically, with more cycling, you can have better local businesses, better air quality, more physical activity, lower hospital costs. You can have social inclusion and social cohesion, and also create mode shift and the safety benefits of that. Why it's important to know this? When you develop, and this is recommendation, when you develop vision, measures of success, and key KPIs, key performance indicators, try to use this in your plans, and that's how you can measure your success. Lesson 2. We learned that the Dutch cycling planning approach is very effective and can help us to develop something very consistent. For those of you who haven't heard about this, so Dutch approach is based on 5 different elements when you're developing bicycle lanes or bicycle infrastructure. They should be cohesive, they should be direct, they should be safe, comfortable, attractive. What it means? In terms of cohesiveness, it means that from every point in your network, from every A, you should be able to go to B with your bicycle. So it should be very cohesive. It should be direct. It means that if you go from A to B, the detour factor should be minimal. If you go from A to B, you should go very straight, very direct from A to B, not meandering. Also, it should be safe. It means that if you are a kid, if you're an elderly person, if you're a woman, if you're a man, all the population of cyclists should be safe and secure. Also, they should be comfortable, which means no delays, not loss of jumping off and on your bike, and it should be attractive. No many cars around you or no many exhaust fume around you. Lesson 3. What we learned is the safe system approach can underlie all your efforts and create safe environment, which means that we're going to achieve the targets for road safety for 2030, which is 50% vulnerable road users. So if you want to achieve that target, you need to design based on safe system principles. And what they are 5 main principles: functionality of roads, biomechanics of human body, human factors, responsibility sharing, and innovation. I'll give you examples from the Philippines. In terms of road function, we couldn't put bicycles on every road. Some roads are designed for cars that have 6 lanes, they're high speed. You don't put cyclists on them. You put cyclists on more quiet streets. And if you have to put them on high speed roads, which goes to biomechanics, you have to separate them. So you don't put your cyclists on a road that they're gonna be hit by a car at 60K. Not good for human body. Human factor is about when we designed intersections, we thought about drivers and cyclists and their interactions and ensured that they see each other, they can reduce the speed, and they can manage conflicts, human factors. Responsibility is about understanding that whoever has the money and power, government, need to be responsible or more responsible. So you need to do a better planning, better design, better delivery, better partnership, also with your community, as Neka mentioned. Also, innovation is about when we go to the Philippines, for example, we have different environment. There is massive rains in certain seasons, and you need to develop your infrastructure in a way that is compatible with the local environment. You cannot copy paste infrastructure from Melbourne, say, to the Philippines, to Manila. You need to change them. Lesson 4. It's about bike lane life cycle. Elena mentioned it beautifully. Road safety should be at the heart of our life cycle of infrastructure. But what we did in Philippines is we developed a life cycle for bicycle infrastructure for the local government to be able to use. And these are the elements. Not all the time this is like sort of a cycle, but all these elements are very important for you to consider and have resources for. You need to have a good strategy, especially active transport policy and strategy. You need to have your standards and policies really well thought of. You need to have a really good network risk assessment, as Elena mentioned, and use that to develop programs. And again, this is what Neka mentioned. You need to have partnership, funds, assessment to develop programs, and then you design and deliver them based on Dutch principles and safe system, and you evaluate your activities and you complete the life cycle. Lesson 5, build local capacity. Whenever we go and do a sort of infrastructure investment, if we move without transferring the knowledge and know-how, you're not going to repeat that. You're not going to repeat the experience. And in the Philippines, we realized that you have two different types of audience. You have those leaders, politicians, and managers and decision makers, and you have designers and planners and delivery. And their needs for education is different. A politician doesn't need to know really detailed design things. No, they need to know high level why active travel is good and why cycling is good and why safety is important. So when we developed a capacity building, we sort of tuned the capacity building based on the needs. We had fundamentals, we had basic application, we have detailed design. Lesson 6, we need to listen to the community. You all do that. You won't be surprised how much the community can teach you. In the Philippines, when we went out to people told us millions of things. When we analyzed them, they said, give me safety. So it supported our sort of actions. They said, give us bike lanes. They said, think about our businesses. They talked about, think about our children, think about our elderly people, think about our local communities, all those information. And we use them in designing and planning better cyclists. And when you do that, you actually overcome one of the main resistances that the community says, I don't like what you're doing. When you do the community engagement properly, it will be different total game, and they will be supporting you. Lesson 7, we have, as Elena mentioned, so many processes. We have road safety audits, road safety inspection, assessments. However, when you're developing a new projects like this one, cycling in the Philippines, we need to tailor them. In the Philippines, we develop new road safety audit processes that really focus on speed limit, a very important factor, conflict and risk analysis, human factors, vehicle and cyclist composition and the user's composition, local environment, and the previous data and reports. So essentially, we reinvented road safety audits for the local conditions. Lesson 8, be open to tactical urbanism. This is one of the beauties that I've learned during COVID. You don't have to have so much money or so much time to do, get shit done. You can do that properly with tactical urbanism. So actually, in the Philippines, we developed a process how we can develop tactical urbanist cyclist infrastructure. 6 stages. First of all, you develop your vision and mission based on your active travel principles. All those 5 elements of benefits I discussed, you develop your vision. Then you go to the community and check their safety and mobility concerns. You talk to the shopkeepers, you talk to the church, you talk to the government, you talk to the people on the road, vendors on the road, and you get their opinions, and then you develop your design and intervention, usually very cheap. It should be cheap and light. That's the key. And then you deliver it. However, when you do that, usually we make some mistakes as designers. You need to go back and fix them. So your community don't get angry, because if you don't adjust, they say, oh, that's not good. And then finally, you make them permanent. The background picture here is, it's one of the cities in South America, the name escapes me at the moment, but one of the really good examples in this area. Okay, my last 2 slides. Don't build and forget. If you do that, your community, your politicians, your designs will never forgive you. So Some of the examples we saw in Philippines, and and I said, like, not everything we did in Philippines was positive. Some learnings for us for future. So if you look at this picture, you don't want to see these situations. So you need to really quickly go back and fix and adjust these issues, because if you don't do that, then you lose the trust of the community. And finally, again, Alina talked about data, with cycling 4 key data points. Collect all the facts and figures about bicycle use, because that's how you can justify your few and new projects. Know the trends, know the position of e-bike, which is really emerging, and also evaluate the impacts of bicycles on safety and on mobility and on environment and all that. So I leave you with those lessons, and good luck with your road safety initiatives.
Thank you so much, Hafiz. Thank you for these valuable lessons. I really felt I'm sitting at university and you are my professor, learning from you. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And I just write it down. Hope yeah, other people like the presentation. And after the session, I will share the recorded link, so people who missed some part, they can watch it again and use these 10 lessons. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next presenter. I want to introduce you. She's Sana from Yours, Junior Project Manager. I think it was 2-3 years ago when I met him virtually first time, and I told myself she has a bright future. But in less than 3 years, she's shining all around the world and helping the youth to push their road safety, learn about road safety, and push their community, local community, to do something impactful. Thank you for being with us, Sana, and you can start your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ali. I'm really happy to be speaking today about youth and road safety. It's one of the things that I'm mostly passionate about, and to also be speaking along all these distinguished panelists today. I'll try to be quick because we are short on time. First of all, I would like you to look at these 2 pictures and wonder with me, what comes to your mind when we say youth, young people? I bet that power, energy, adventure are one of the first words that come to your mind. And these words describe a character that is ready to take action, a character that is fearless. The youth of today are actually fearless. Many political and environmental movements have been started by young people in the last decade that has shaped a different world that we know today. However, young people are the #1 users of social media. They have huge influence on each other and on the world. They have this powerful tool that connects them with each other, regardless of geographic or language barriers. However, when we talk about youth in terms of empowerment, these conversations are mostly led by older people who are not actually familiar with their struggles, who are not able to identify their demands and their needs. Maybe among the audience and the participants that we have for the webinar today, maybe youth are a minority. So we need to see what is the problem. Why are young people not actively engaged in this conversation? Especially that when it comes to road safety, we all know that the leading cause of death for young people under 29 years old are road traffic crashes. We lose around 1.35 million people worldwide, and the third of this number are people aged between 15 and 29 years old. This number is crazy because they are the most valuable thing for their nations. And when we lose people this young, we are losing the future. So we should always have in mind that we need to save these young people. We need to, if you want a safer future for all of us, then these young people need to be included in the conversation. However, when we talk about road safety with decision makers, with the governments, they always say that youth are the problem. And this idea is always connected with the risky behavior on the road. They say that young people are inexperienced drivers, they have a hazard perception, they have an overestimation of their own abilities and of other behavior of young people on the road, and they don't have a boundary when it comes to their behavior on the roads. They don't think of others. They are self-centered. They always think of themselves. But as a young person working with the leading global organization, working with young people, I believe that this is the traditional approach, and we should move beyond this idea. Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. If you want to talk about the safe system approach, which is the approach that is being adopted by most governments and most leading institutions working in road safety, we need to think about that young people are have a big portion of work to be leading within this approach. So we need to stop blaming young people and start protecting them and engaging them. How do we do that? Following the safe system approach, we know that all the relevant stakeholders are working together to have safer speeds, safer vehicles, safer road users, and safer infrastructure. Young people have a lot to offer to achieve this, because when we think about young people, the term youth determines people who are aged between 15 until 35 years old. So we are not talking about a homogeneous group. They have a lot to offer because they are not just school students. They are also established citizens. They might be working in research. They may have started their early career in different sectors that are relevant to road safety. So they have innovative skills. They are educated. They are informed. And they have advanced skills when it comes to data analysis, research, and evaluation. So can you imagine how far we can accelerate our progress in responding to road safety if young people are included? This decade, we are very lucky that the UN has recognized youth as one of the main stakeholders in road safety in the global plan for the second decade of action. And this is very important because young people are an asset. They are not the problem. And at the end of this month, we have the UN high-level meeting on road safety taking place in New York. We hope to see youth voices well represented because young people live different realities when we talk about road safety. For example, what young people face in Asia is different from Africa, different from Europe. And there are many sustainable development goals that are relevant to these realities within their communities. So we want to make sure that all their young voices are included. But how do we achieve that? There is the ladder of youth participation, which we have adapted as an organization. And in the first 3 levels, we can see that these are the things that we would like to avoid. We don't want our youth to be manipulated or to be used as decoration or to be tokenized. Because it happens very often when governments, for example, invite youth or young activists or road safety advocates for meetings, for example, with the Minister of Transportation or with the Prime Minister. And these young people sometimes are manipulated. They be very happy sharing selfies on their social media saying, oh, I met with the minister, I met with the Prime Minister. But this is not meaningful participation. We should let them know that this is not what they are looking for if they want to actually contribute to solving this issue. And it also happens very often when young people are assigned, but they are not well informed. So they are not very aware about what their contribution can be. So sometimes they may be assigned or have a seat at the table, but they don't know how to contribute to this conversation. They don't know about road safety. They don't know the dimensions of this issue. And we want to make sure that these young people have the resources to be educated. They have accessibility to learn and to be consulted from people at different decision-making levels and processes. And once we consult them and make sure that they are informed, they will be able to share the decision-making with adults or with decision makers. What we aspire to achieve as an organization, what we aspire to see young people doing is that they themselves initiating and leading solutions to road safety, so we can together reach a stage where both young people and adults are peers and they are seated at the same decision-making table and together planning and designing a future that is safer for all of us. For now, I would like to tell you a little bit about what is our organization doing to empower young people. As yours, Youth for Road Safety, we provide access to resources, educational resources, funding opportunities, and as long as these young people are interested to be part of the change, they can benefit from these resources. All they have to do is to just become a member of the network. We also provide capacity development opportunities. We do monthly CapDev sessions on different topics. Sometimes it's specialized in road safety. For example, we did a session on tactical urbanism. We also did a program on designing safe routes to school, for example. And we also provide other soft skills that our young leaders need, for example, to build their leadership skills and build their other soft skills. We also connect youth within our network with opportunities and tools to support them to advocate not only on a global level, but also on regional and local scales, because we believe that in order to have an effective change, we need to start from local to global. And we have a platform that unites young people so they can together exchange their knowledge and their experiences in order to respond effectively to the road safety challenges that they face in their own local communities. Because our end goal is as young people that are able to demand and deliver road safety. And the platform I'm speaking of is the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. It's one of our main programs. And we work on main three elements that are advocacy, youth empowerment, and also working with decision makers. It's a standalone network of passionate young leaders who are working for road safety and for sustainable mobility. And they have a support structure of also other young leaders worldwide that supports them to take action. We have our guiding principles that supports us to achieve all these goals, because we are a youth-driven network, because we believe that young people have the right to be adequately engaged. And we are focusing on SDGs that are linked to preventing road traffic injuries, as you know, because it's the biggest threat to the young lives worldwide. And young people themselves, they have the potential to accelerate and energize a road safety revolution as agents of change in their immediate communities and beyond. We also believe very much in equality and diversity. We pay special attention to diversity in terms of country, region, gender, expertise, in key development themes, and we promote this diversity and inclusion as a key element to uphold equality of opportunity and acknowledge that a diverse team yields vibrant and innovative solutions. We also focus on safe and sustainable mobility systems because all our efforts will be focused towards creating a system that is accessible and affordable for everyone, regardless of their gender, age, and socio-economic status. For now, as the Global Youth Coalition, we have over 1,040 members and counting. We have more members joining the network every single week. They come from 107 countries worldwide, from everywhere: Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, Latin America. And we tried to include in the last 2 years more than 2,500 youth voices in our youth statement and in also the other toolkits that we are producing as an organization. One of the programs that we are so proud of is the Local Actions Program. Through this program, it's like an incubator of local projects led by young people worldwide. Local actions, it's like a short term or a mid-term grassroots action plan that is oriented to address the most pressing issue in a city where a young person belongs. And they offer ideas or projects that have a tangible contribution to achieve the Global Youth Statement for Road Safety. And they also need to have a clear connection with the global plan for the Decade of Action for Road Safety. Their projects must be conceived, led and implemented by young people, and they must be focused on 2 or more 3 priorities, which are like community mobilization and awareness, advocacy, peer education, and community mobilization. This year, we have 17 young leaders working in 15 different cities in Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. They have started working on their projects back in April, and their projects will last for 1 whole year. We will provide them with capacity development, mentorship, and support throughout the whole implementation process. For now, I would like to invite you to let all the young people within your network join our network at claimingourspace.org. We have lots of benefits and resources that they can benefit from to build their capacities and to support the response in the local cities, in the local communities to the road safety issues. And we have recently launched the Yours Academy, which is one of our ambitious projects. It's an accessible platform for young people, free of charge. You can just log in, sign up, create your account, and start learning about road safety. We have published our first chapter, which provides information and knowledge about intro to road safety, and it provides you with insights and helps you have a better understanding of the global road safety issue. And we will publish new chapters every single month. So I would like to end my presentation with this. And we always say at the Global Youth Coalition, as young people, we need to claim, to continue to claim our space at the decision-making table. So yeah, let's keep claiming our space.
Thank you so much, Sana. Thank you, my young but experienced friend, and really clear message on meaningful participation of the youth in road safety. And let me say hi and to my 2 friends that are not here, Manpreet and Floor, that we are friends for so many years, that they are doing great to pushing young people to maybe ask them and empower them to be more familiar with deeper layer of road safety, and help them engage in the community, and also maybe make the decision makers uncomfortable to set higher priority for road safety activity. So thank you again for your nice presentation, and thank you to Hafiz, Alina, and also Ineka, who left us earlier. So we have around 15 minutes for the Q&A session. I have already some questions from the chat box. If you have a question, please use the chat box to ask from the presenter. So I will start with the first question, maybe from Alina. They have asked about fleet safety and more exactly on bus safety, how we can improve the fleet safety and or heavy vehicles. Do you have something to tell us?
It's a very good question, Ali. Thank you so much. And this is definitely a very important topic for us also. for example, we have bus rapid transit projects, BRT projects, where we are making sure, that the new vehicles and buses, they are safe enough. And sorry, I got muted. Yeah. And respect all the safety measures. But I do agree, and this is something that we are actually working with our safeguards colleagues in Central and West African countries. With actually, Mustafa Azuzi, he's our good friend. I'm not sure if he's connected today with another road safety expert. So we are working in making sure that fleet safety, the drivers are properly trained, and we are looking, this analysis is actually being done, I think it's the first time according to the World Bank, is the first being done on all World Bank projects, so not just transport, but all World Bank projects in those countries, talking with contractors who own vehicles, heavy vehicles, and making sure they benefit the right training, and the policies that are in place in that country are the right ones. So we are it's it's a new engagement for us. We also hope that, and please, if you know any experts, we are actually in need of experts, road safety experts for heavy vehicles. So if you have any knowledge, any experts that please do let me know, reach out to me, to Ali, and let us know, because this, we are working with experts and we need more of those. So we are open for any suggestions, and if you, as I mentioned, you have access to our project appraisal documents. If you see something that we can do better, let us know. We're happy to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a question about how NGOs can contribute, and what's the relation with government and NGOs. For this question, I highly recommend to attend our next week webinar, and Patrick from Global Alliance of NGOs will talk about on this topic. So please be with us and stay tuned. I will send another link to join the next week webinar. But I may ask Sana, there's a question about how public awareness or public education, or not only the use or public awareness, may help reaching our target, why it's important, how it helps.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is actually a very important question, because usually when governments work on road safety programs, they forget about including people. And this is the role of public NGOs or nonprofit organizations, because they work directly with different groups within the community. And this is also a great opportunity to include young people and school students, and have special campaigns that are designed to target the community. So it's because without awareness, we cannot achieve the goals of road safety, because if we implement programs that are standalone by the Ministry of Transportation or by the government, the public people who are actually the road users, who are the ones that are affected, if they are not well informed, then we will be unable to achieve the goals of these plans. So it's always recommended for governments to include nonprofit organizations, the local community, and also all the relevant stakeholders.
Thank you, Sana. The next for Hafez, is there the direct correlation between number of vehicles and number of crashes, or what evidence says of?
Oh, certainly. I think there are 3 levels of interaction between exposure, risk, and this level of severity of crashes. So what we have in road safety is called the road trauma chain. And the concept of road trauma chain is you start from human beings and vehicles. So these are the elements of the system. Then you add roads and access to roads by these elements, and these enter the road, and human beings and vehicles start to gain speed and momentum in the system, and then they will have near misses, and then they have crashes, and based on those crashes we have injuries, and some of them end up in fatalities. Now, if you think about that chain of events, from people and cars to crashes, the more people you have, of course, you get more crashes and more injuries. Now, if this system is risk-free, for example, if you have bicycle lanes that are totally separated physically from cars, then the increase in the number of cyclists doesn't impact your crashes because you have total separation. However, if you have those cyclists or pedestrians mix the road with cars, the increase in the numbers directly increases the number of incidents, and that's the case. So if we go back to principles, whenever you can, you need to reduce those conflicts. If you have higher speed, you need to separate them or you reduce the speed, and then you can be sure that the increase in the numbers really don't impact your outcomes. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Hafiz. Yeah, it will help, and I think there are some references online. People can Google it and find of course the correlation. Maybe not necessarily a direct correlation, but it depends on some other factors as well. Next question to Alina. I'm from a low-income country. Our leadership is weak. We don't have political will. How can I do to improve road safety in my country?
I think this is a very common problem. Unfortunately, it's not an easy question. I would say it's a very good question, but not an easy one. And I think it depends. You need to. My suggestion is to try to find those local partners that might help you. Look for NGOs. The NGOs are really strong. They are my main partners to push the political agenda. Let me know if there are any multilateral development banks projects that are out there. If World Bank has a project in your country, let me know. I can put you in contact with my colleagues, and we can see how we can maybe help with influencing the political dialogue. This is something we've been really struggling to do in our conversations whenever planning a new project. As I mentioned, we want to step away from this, just doing a roads project, we just put asphalt and that's it. That's not what we are doing anymore. We want to influence, to do more, as I mentioned, and especially from a road safety perspective, build that capacity, create that sustainability, provide that mentoring and capacity building, influence the mentalities. I think what we need is a shift in mentalities, and sometimes it's difficult, but as I mentioned, maybe NGOs and also those that might be able to push a bit the politicians, and this is something that maybe MDBs can do.
Thank you. Next to Sana, maybe exactly not related to your area, but okay, Hafiz, yeah.
Could I please add a comment in what Alina mentioned?
Sure,
because we have the same problem in Australia as well. So what we usually do when we want to keep our politicians accountable, we do three things. First of all, we collect the data, accurate number of fatalities they cause to the community. We set ambitious visions and targets and make them commit to them. And then we have those KPIs measures and reported. So what we say is, don't allow your politicians to stand behind the veil of ignorance. Don't allow them to say, oh, I don't know what's happening. I don't know the number. I don't know the cost. No, make them known and make them accountable. That's what we can do. Thanks, Ali.
Thank you.
Ali, just to build on what Hafiz was mentioning, sorry, this question is taking a bit too long. I can give an example on how we actually were able to change this mentality in Thailand. I just remember. It depends, where you have the data. In some countries, we might not have the data. Try to get some good examples on how you can, do some of this change. In Thailand, politicians were pushing to raise the speed limits on one of the main highways from 100 to 110 or something like that. They were trying to add 20 kilometers more. So we work with, under the Bloomberg Philanthropies Initiative, we work with IRAP, and we did this speed variation analysis to show them how actually that speed increase will be killing a lot more people than the current speed limit, and how just by reducing with 10, 20 kilometers per hour the speed limit, it actually has a big impact on saving lives. That paper was presented, and the report is actually available on our website. That the results were presented during the National Road Safety Conference in Thailand, where politicians were actually in the room trying to convince the audience to increase the speed limits. But when they saw our presentation, they backed up and they said, yes, that's not correct. We should not increase the speed limits. So that was one example where we, some small studies shared with the right people can make a very, very big difference. And yeah, we have more research of this type coming up in the next few months. Sorry, Ali, for taking a bit too long.
Thank you. I think very important things. And really, this webinar is to go through these details of what's happening and how we can find a solution for that. Another question to Sana, maybe not exactly to your area, but okay, we have some new initiatives on road safety, for example, some speed cameras, but mainly for the enforcement and other projects. Since we have corruption in our country, we see that the initiatives, the projects are not leading to a decrease in number of fatalities, or projects are not effective. What we can do in such a atmosphere?
Actually, this is an excellent question, extremely relevant in my context. Actually, there's something that we always teach our young people who are leading initiatives in their own countries. We always tell them to do their best to implement evidence-based solutions. To refer to studies, to talk to people, to include all relevant stakeholders within their work. This is how we avoid corruption. Because if you work only with, for example, the government alone, you might face this issue a lot. But if there are many stakeholders involved within the implementation of the solution, you can avoid this solution and also the situation. And also, I think this should not stop us from acting for road safety. Although we have lots of problems, we have, for example, corruption, but there is no magic stick, to solve road safety issues. And it's the same to other issues that our countries are facing. So maybe if we also push through our governments for a mechanism to hold the decision makers accountable and to make sure that there is a clear evaluation system or a way to report back on the progress of these projects, we can try our best to fight corruption. But it's a very serious and a very big problem.
Thank you, Sana. Since we have reached the time limit and the end of session, just as I want to finish with one question from Hafez before saying goodbye to everyone. I want to know, can we say that road safety is independent of other societal changes?
Oh, Ali, we can't. And this is very, very interesting question. One of the things we have noticed that road safety is something that is related to, say, fuel price, related to equity, related to, as Sana mentioned, youth. So there are so many different causes in the society that work hand in hand with road safety. And we even in Melbourne, we're learning to use those or utilize their sort of power to put safety. Also, Alina mentioned, we need to put road safety at the heart of things, at the heart of planning, at the heart of the design, at the heart of maybe active travel. So I think, Ali, no, road safety is not independent, is something that is like talking to many areas. And that's a beauty. That's a wonderful beauty. So that's a great question. Thank you for raising that, Ali. Thanks.
Thank you, Hafez, and thank you everyone for joining us for this session. Hope you found this webinar useful. Of course, you may have other questions. I will share the recorded link with you. Also, you can send me a question, and I will ask the panelists to provide me with the answers and back to you the same way you found the joining link to this webinar. And again, I want to say that be with us for the next Thursday webinar with 3 other wonderful distinguished presenters, and don't miss it. And also a special thanks to Hafiz for helping with co-organizing this event. Thank you so much, and thank you, Alina, for being with us very early in the morning from US. Thank you so much for being so nice to us, and thank you, Sana, again for helping me and our NGO. Thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoyed this event, and be with us for the next webinar on next Thursday. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much, Ali. Hafiz. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
No worries.